A new app has hit #1 on the App Store this week, and it's aiming to put the social back in social media, appealing to Gen Z. We're joined by media analyst Mohit Rajans for more on this and a few other trending topics tonight. Mohit, walk us through this app called noplace. Who's it targeting and how does it work?
I feel like apps are starting to become that thing where every month we have something to sort of rave about. And noplace in this particular equation is coming at a time where people aren't 100% sure about whether we need a new app when it comes down to social media to gather attention from a dwindling generation of TikTokers and Instagrammers, or if we just need to forget about social media as being this important when it comes down to communication. To get to noplace in this situation, this app is really about timing. Gen Z is looking for a place right now to mitigate some of the issues associated with TikTok potentially being banned. And a lot of businesses are also looking to adhere to some of the constraints that exist around the world, including in the EU, where certain big social media companies can't necessarily collect data the way they used to. With noplace going #1, the attention now is on what Gen Z is demanding from social media, which is a sense of privacy, a place where they can connect genuinely with people that they already know, and a way that they can geo-target their focus for what they're looking for. But I got to tell you, Nicole, I've seen this before. I've seen these startups before, and I've seen this attempt. And I haven't found what the it factor is with this app yet.
And I want to touch on Meta expanding its social media horizons with the unveiling of Threads 1 year ago. How is Meta's rival to X truly performing, Mohit?
Well, it's interesting. The news this week definitely is about the 175 million monthly users that Threads is actually boasting about. That's a big number. A lot of apps can't say that they've reached that number. But let's look at the timeline very quickly here. In the year that Threads has launched, it started off with a bumpy start. Many users complained about the fact that they couldn't figure out a way not to actually authenticate their usernames. And then other usernames were co-opted, and people had to come to this conclusion that, well, there was a beta version of this app that wasn't fully fleshed out yet. And eventually Meta was going to be able to iron out the kinks. Don't forget, at the same time, TikTok was on the chopping block when it came down to legislation in the US. So naturally, some advertisers were looking for new ways. And so that's where Threads has found its actual footing. Where it hasn't found its footing is in its culture. Nobody talks to me about going to Threads to do anything when it comes to social media. Instead, it seems like more of a check-in point, a wait-and-see type place, a tertiary source when it comes down to looking things up. While I do see many communities actually benefiting from going away from other social media apps, I don't necessarily know if Threads is going to be around for 3 or 4 years in order to invest too much time into.
And when it comes to social media, there's been some extremely provocative content coming from corporations. And I want to play this one TikTok video from Montreal's transportation system known as STM. Let's take a look. With no warning, the woman pushes water through her thighs, and the caption reads, "This is how we wash our buses." What was that, Mohit? Are some corporate accounts just going too far?
Well, there are two separate things happening right now. On one hand, you feel like there is something called corporate social responsibility, where you see companies using social media to really promote the idea that they're making changes and doing good. And then you've got this corporate social media responsibility, where corporations are taking a chance to find new audiences, but have to really walk this line when it comes down to jumping on trends versus making light of certain things that aren't necessarily true. And I think what's happening now is you're starting to see some companies thirsty for any amount of attention when it comes down to social media, and they're doing certain things that are going against the grain or going against brand image. Long term, this will probably be all stuff that's forgotten when it comes down to brands. I don't see it being hurtful when it comes down to things, but I do think companies do need to come up with an actual corporate social media responsibility plan to make sure things don't go off the rails.
Gotta love you calling it thirsty. Mohit, it's great catching up with you. Thank you for being with us tonight on Trending Now.